and we're up. We're going. Something's happening. Like there's Vern, and there's me, and Jason.
But now we're just streaming right now, or
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
recording now.
I don't think I've hit the record. Yeah, I haven't hit the. No, we are recording. Oh man.
All right.
Let me stop that recording and start anew. Because I guess it doesn't matter. This is it. This is the beginning. This is the first episode of the Let's Game
Dry
Already
run.
podcast. Like, it's...
The LGA experience.
Yeah.
The first and final episode.
The first and last. And the what would it be? The centennial? No.
Well, the first and last before the new LGA experience.
Yeah. Well,
you can just do like Xbox does, with the new updates.
Oh, I thought you were going to go into like XO, like 18 or whatever, XO 20. Like, we're not doing it this year. Oh, we're doing it. It's a thing.
LGA 22, LGA 23.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. If we were popular enough to have a convention, it could be called LGAX.
You know what? Yes, that's what we'll call it.
LGAX. The LGA experience. I like it.
But I'd like to thank anybody that has decided to join us and hang out. Especially, I'm going to be uploading this to the Xbox Uncut original podcast link too. So just to let everybody know that we're moving on from Xbox Uncut. I did a small little show earlier talking about it, but I wanted to bring both Vern and Jason in and kind of to, I don't know, make this more official, I guess, and not just me rambling on while half paying attention to Halo. But yeah, we wanted to start doing a show again, and we wanted it to be bigger than just Xbox. And apparently, the very first show we're going to do is going to be all about fucking Xbox, because Xbox is buying Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, that's been a news.
So
you're watching this on video. I mean, you can see behind me.
Yeah, I mean, but we really wanted this to be more than just Xbox. We wanted to be, don't get me wrong, we were doing PlayStation and covering Nintendo, and we were covering all the stuff we cared about, but I wanted it to make it into something where we could do tabletop games or talk about board games or anything gaming related, and not just Xbox specifically.
Movies and TV shows about games.
Yeah, let's game already, and we're going to talk about anime, because that's what we do here.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Jason, are you still there?
Yep.
You sound excited.
Yes, I am. I am extremely excited because I'm doing my taxes while I do this podcast.
Yeah, it's true. It's always good to see you getting money back. Man, Vern's screen just turned super bright.
It did. Let me turn it down a little. There we go. How's that? Is that a little better? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, turn down the God rate.
Pretty sure that wasn't a ring light.
There we go. That's my...
That's his monitor. The big white ass display, I bet.
Yeah, it looks great, too.
Yeah.
I like the light. I feel like it looks sexier this way.
Yeah.
But
I went ahead, for sure.
I went ahead and pulled up the press release if we want to just kind of talk through the press release and stop as we go. Make some commentary.
Well, I didn't ask y'all to prep, but did y'all, I know you're down to do podcast, Vern. Jason, would you be willing, on the spot, to commit to at least one every centennial?
Centennial every 2,000 or 3,000 years?
Yeah. We're supposed to get Eric supposedly back on the show too. He's gonna hop in at some random point because it's Eric, and I don't know if I'd have it another way. And to be honest, he's gonna jump on, and more than likely his microphone's not gonna work. Or then, like, halfway through not being able to talk, he will eventually say something about Halo. I want to, But I can't wait to get him back on the show. But yeah, let's talk about Activision Blizzard King. Jason is, you'd be an interesting person because you play a lot of Blizzard games. Actually, it's kind of your. For a while, you were big into WoW, but let's.
Yeah, I kind of stopped when all the controversy started. And Shadowlands, honestly, it was good to start off. Like I really liked the art style, and I found the story to be kind of cool when you first introed into it. And I got through the first patch and all that storyline. Because people that play WoW would know that when an expansion comes out, it's not the entire story. Like you don't get the ending to the story when the expansion comes out. You get the first chapter of the story, and every patch they release, which they'll all be named a certain thing, will continue the story onward. I basically got to the end of what was released in the story, and then found out that if I wanted to improve my equipment whatsoever, I'm gonna have to play every single day for like 3 months straight.
Oh God,
So I kind of gave up. And
that's
then the
rough, man.
controversy stuff came out, and I was like, yeah, this is just fucking. I don't really feel like supporting this company along with the fact that I got to do a grind. But, that might change coming up if the culture can be changed and
Not just the culture, also Microsoft's worried about subscription numbers for Game Pass, which means it's going to take off the pressure of possibly a yearly release of Call of Duty. Um, it'll take off the pressure of, what they're doing with World of Warcraft. Diablo can have a little more time to breathe to put out a great game. Maybe we'll get some older games from Blizzard and Activision catalog because of this, because maybe some of those teams they have working all on COD end up doing some other stuff too.
yeah. I mean, as far as like working on WoW and stuff, I'm not sure the WoW team really needs help. I think
Yeah.
the problem isn't really the size of their team. I think it's more, and I mean, there's only so much I could talk about it because I'm not into it as much as like Asmongold or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Like those guys, even Asmongold's not into it as much to the point as some of these guys that are really into the lore. It's more the people behind the game, the people that are in charge are not correct. They're making a lot of lore mistakes that are really fucking up the story.
Yeah.
But I think it's just going to be about a change in direction, and having new leadership I think will help out. But I don't think you're going to see new leadership within the higher ends of each individual studio though.
They
Bobby
might make
Kotick's
some
gone.
different. They might make some different choices though. Like okay, you're saying you have to like play every single day pretty much, which means they're trying to keep player engagement high at the expense of upsetting people in a way because they're probably bleeding subscribers, right?
Oh
All new
God, yeah, but it's
Fantasy
not.
14.
Yeah,
So I think what they're hoping that is if enough people, if these people have enough to do and have to come back every day, maybe they'll stick around, the hardcore that are still there. And maybe that's not a decision they make if they don't have the issues they're currently having.
the
So
the the problem that uh the problem that they have is that for the last couple expansions, they've worked on separating the community and almost giving people more of a solo experience in an MMO, like with the garrison system and all kinds of like, oh, you can build your own town, but you're in your own instance and stuff like that.
you
Uh,
think it's something they could fix pretty easily, or is this a long term like man, or is this something that
this
feels like
would
a long time to do?
require an entire. I think it's going to require an overhaul of the game, in my opinion.
We're gonna see how much Microsoft really cares about World of Warcraft pretty soon.
Yeah, because what they need to do, because why Final Fantasy is so popular and working so well right now, is that in Final Fantasy, you don't ever like community. There's the community works so well together. Like everyone's together. Like no matter where you go in that game, you feel like you're with others. Like you don't like end up in an instance by yourself and I mean, you can, there's houses and stuff in Final Fantasy, but it's not something that where you're going to find yourself, whisked away to your own little spot and there's no one around you and it's like playing a single player game, which
Yeah.
isn't what you want with a fucking MMO.
They're going to have to
Excuse
do
my language.
something with it, though, because they're losing players to Final Fantasy 14. New World kind of came around, took some players, and we'll see how that continues. It looks like that's kind of up and down with the updates. Lord of the Rings Online is actually getting a huge graphics update to coincide with the Amazon TV series. So they're about to pump a lot of money into that game as well. So maybe that'll light a fire under the ass, and get Microsoft and Blizzard to dump some serious money into it, because they could do that kind of big like update that would just fix everything and really revamp it, and maybe do a console port at the same time. Is that even possible with the way healing works in the game? I don't know. But why not try it at this point if things are not so good?
I think fixing it is is a completely possible with another expansion. It just depends on what it. Like I said, it's not everyone's focusing on like Bobby Kotick and stuff like that. Bobby Kotick's gone. Like that's done deal. The problem isn't that. The problem Bobby Kotick being gone isn't going to change what the leadership at Blizzard wants to do with the game. So if the leadership of Blizzard still is on the wrong path, even though the leadership above them or the environment's changed at the company, it's not going to fix the game. So it's
Yeah, but
really
that game isn't going to be reporting to the same investors, though, is what I'm saying. So
yeah.
maybe it'll give him a little breathing room to change things up. That's my hope, at least.
I
It's
think
my
the
hope.
biggest thing Microsoft could do is tell these teams that they have to start talking to the community leaders. And because one thing, wow, it is so crazy, and now they're starting to lose it, is they have such a gigantic amount of influencers. And I hate using that word. I hate the word influencer. But they really do have so many large influencers that care about the lore, or care about PvP or dungeons or whatever, mythics, and they're kind of throwing it out right now because they're all going over to Final Fantasy, but they're still there. If they could fix
Yeah.
it with this next expansion and tell them, hey, you guys need to talk to the community and stop ignoring them, they could really pull back from the shit the ditch they've
Well,
put themselves in.
Mikey Barr is running the show at Blizzard right
Yeah,
now, and he's really good at interacting with community, and really has his eye on the PC market. He has for a long time. So I guess there's some hope in that. Maybe they'll have him stick around and give him a bigger role within the company to make those kind of decisions. I don't know.
that's a good point because Mikey Barr now is going to have full control over Blizzard
Exactly.
when
He won't be
he
reporting to Activision in the same way.
right.
On top of them, he'll be reporting to Phil, and that's something I actually wanted to talk about. And can I go through the press release? There's some really
Yeah.
interesting stuff. Okay, well, um, first up, it says, welcoming the incredible teams and legendary franchises of Activision Blizzard to Microsoft Gaming. They immediately at the top say creators of Call of Duty, Warcraft, Candy Crush, Tony Hawk, Diablo, Overwatch, Spyro, Hearthstone, Guitar Hero, Crash Bandicoot, StarCraft, and more join Team Xbox. So, I mean, right from the beginning, you're talking about those are the games that they're most interested in. After that, they say, as a team, we're on a mission to extend the joy and community of gaming to everyone on the planet. We all know that gaming is the most vibrant and dynamic form of entertainment worldwide, and we've experienced the power of social connection and friendship that gaming makes possible. Okay, yeah, typical Xbox Care Bear stuff. As we pursue that mission, it is incredibly exciting to announce that Microsoft has agreed to acquire Activision Blizzard. Over many decades, the studios and teams that make up Activision Blizzard have earned vast wellsprings of joy and respect from billions of people all over the world. And then they go on to say the teams that they picked up. That's all of Activision Publishing, including Blizzard Entertainment, Beenox, Demonware, Digital Legends, High Moon Studios, Infinity Ward, King, Major League Gaming, Radical Entertainment, Raven Software, Sledgehammer Games toys for Bob Treyarch and every team across Activision Blizzard. So we're talking a huge amount of employees. I looked at the amount of employees, and it's more than if you add up Xbox Game Studios and Bethesda or ZeniMax.
Yeah, it's
which is
10,000
nuts.
employees that Microsoft will
Yeah,
be
they
adding
more
on.
than doubled
Yeah.
this. The next part says, until this transaction closes, Activision Blizzard and Microsoft Gaming will continue to operate independently. Once the deal is complete, the Activision Blizzard business will report to me as CEO Microsoft Gaming. Now, this is written by Phil Spencer, and that's the really funny part that everyone's pointing out, and I noticed that right away too. He's saying, we gamers, yeah, fun, yeah, wonderful. And then when it comes to this, he says, me. CEO Microsoft Gaming. So this is one of the first times I've seen Phil Spencer really flex, do the power flex, like this, you know.
Well,
So
he understands what Bobby means to quite a
exactly,
few people.
this has
He
everything to do
completely
with Bobby
understands.
Kotick, like you're saying, you know, because what this is saying is that he's the one who's going to be in charge. It's not going to be Kotick, and in front of these, in front of um, controlling these other teams, you know. Um, I also think it's just a big flex in general, because he didn't do this with Bethesda at all. With Bethesda, it's like, oh, let's bring out Todd Howard like immediately, you know. So I think
Well,
that was an interesting one.
as much as Microsoft came out and said, well, we're only going to be the third largest by revenue versus Sony and Tencent. They said that in order to help with the approval process for the antitrust. So it makes them look smaller than if you were to actually value the companies that Xbox Game Studios has now, they got to be at least that sale alone was $70 billion, right? They got to be at least worth 120. They got to be near just the value of Sony as a company almost, just in game studios. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I couldn't imagine how much it would cost to buy Xbox and everything they own now.
Oh Lord. I mean, yeah, it's not something they would spin off at this point, like the rumor was
Yes.
a long time ago, you know? It's worth so much more. Did you want to say something, Dustin?
Oh, nothing. Yeah, I'm just agreeing.
So it kind of continues. It says upon close, we'll offer as many Activision Blizzard games as we can within Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass. We're not expecting these games to come to Game Pass until after the sale closes, which I believe is supposed to be in fiscal year 2023, which could be as early as sometime in 2022, technically, I believe. So maybe it'll close in 6 months. I don't know. Who knows? That would be really great, and then we'd get all the stuff right away. And if it closes early enough, maybe that allows something like a Diablo 4 or an Overwatch 2 to, if not be exclusive, maybe be exclusive to next gen consoles. Because I believe Diablo 4 was announced for both PS4 and Xbox One, but not for Series X and S and PS5. So maybe they can pull a Psychonauts 2. You know how they brought the next gen version of Psychonauts 2 only to the series consoles and not to PS5. So maybe we see something like that with Diablo 4 and Overwatch. I don't know. They also announced in the same press release that Game Pass is now more than 25 million subscribers, which I don't know. It seemed like I thought it was going to be higher than that. People were talking, oh, is it going to be 30 million by the end of the year? But apparently they didn't hit that kind of number, even with Forza and Halo hitting before the end of the year. So I mean, it's still growing, obviously. So I don't think it's in trouble. But I think this acquisition is like, here, let's just go full on now. The big one.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of that, and at the end, they showed like a picture of the gaming leadership team, with all the different people who are running the show, with Phil Spencer right at the top, though. Once again, he's doing another flex. So,
well, he got a title upgrade, also.
He did, CEO of Microsoft Gaming, which means, and now with changing Xbox Game Pass to PC Game Pass for PC, it's like they're almost getting rid of the Xbox thing outside of the console space. You know what I mean? When they're in PC, it's something else. When it's console, it's Xbox. But everything is going to be under Microsoft Gaming, is what it looks like. So my guess is it's like Microsoft Gaming at the top, and then it'll probably be broken into four, including Xbox Game Studios, Bethesda, Activision, Blizzard is what I'm thinking, you know, with the heads of each of those reporting directly to Phil. But we'll see. I don't know how they're going to do it.
They strategically released all this information in such a way to tell people Bobby's no longer going to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
and that's been rumor going around.
The pictures they release, the vocabulary and way they've described every press release, the interviews they've had afterwards. And it's funny that people, like, for a day or two, people kept going, is he still going to be there? I don't know. Is he still going to be there? It's like, no. Like, if you pay attention to what they've been expressing, it's like, no, Phil is the one in charge. That's it. That's de facto. There's not going to be, he's not on the leaders. They did not show him be, but the thing people aren't understanding is they can't just come out and say he's going to go. They can't come out and say we're going to fire this guy.
No.
They can't say that about anything because they would lose the antitrust.
They can't comment about anything really. They
No.
can't say what's going to be exclusive, what's not going to be exclusive.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like Bethesda, and the wording is strikingly similar to Bethesda as far as like
a lot of desires, a lot of
yeah, he's using words like desire and our intention, and he's given himself room for what's going to happen. And my guess is because like it's not they haven't figured it out yet. You know, they have to talk to Sony.
Because at the with Call of Duty, because that's the big mammoth thing in the room. Like, does Call of Duty go straight Xbox exclusive? And when I first heard it, I was like, no. It's kind of like Minecraft. It's been everywhere. It is everywhere. You kind of just let it be a beast of itself. But at the same time, when you say desire, yeah, it's like we desire to have it on PlayStation. And it's like, oh, okay. So that means, like, hey, maybe Microsoft's like, hey, if you want to keep this ball rolling on PlayStation, we want, maybe you only earn 15% of microtransactions on Call of Duty.
Instead of 30, yeah.
Instead of 30. Like, and you know what? That point, fair game. And you know what? That might actually, or they might not even do that at all and just say, look, we know MLB came to Xbox. We know all these, we know there's going to be games tossed back and forth now, where it's not just like, Sony could have games on Xbox and vice versa. And it's like where it makes sense, you do it. If it, like sports games that Sony does, like maybe that kind of helps out with that, the MLB being on Xbox and Game Pass. Or it forces, or they could be like, hey, you want Call of Duty? You need to put Game Pass on PlayStation.
I think that's going to come to an end. After this, I don't think Sony's going to allow any game on a Microsoft platform, not for a long time.
My feeling is that Microsoft will keep Warzone going into the future, and they'll keep on getting updates just like it has in the past once this goes through. And I think we may even see a split off from the campaigns and multiplayer, kind of like what we saw with Halo Infinite. Maybe they separate the multiplayer from the campaign, and that multiplayer goes to PlayStation as well, but then the campaigns are exclusive to Xbox. That's a possibility. And I don't think that's too far-fetched. It'd be a way of them making the kind of money they want to make, So, I don't know. How y'all feel about that?
I could see the campaign. Here's the thing. You do have to separate Warzone from multiplayer. Like the arena multiplayer from the Warzone. And I do wonder if Warzone might be multiplat, but the arena multiplayer might actually be exclusive along with the campaign. because there is a big difference between those two. That would still allow them to get all the revenue from people wanting to play Warzone on PlayStation, but also get a big enough thing to go, hey, you want to buy an Xbox to play the traditional multiplayer for COD. But it all depends on how much they want to use this to sell consoles. You know?
Yeah.
Because beyond consoles, beyond Xbox, like, it's going to be on PC. And they don't really gain anything for making exclusive away from Sony on PC. It's not like they're going to get money from people buying a PC. They just want the people to buy the game, even if it's on PlayStation or PC. It doesn't really matter at that point. It all depends on what they want to do to sell hardware. You know, and get people on Game Pass, of course, because Game Pass won't be on PlayStation, but it will be on PC and Xbox.
The other thing about go ahead.
I was gonna say I've heard people toss the idea of Game Pass on PlayStation, but I don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening.
I think it's far fetched, but I wouldn't put it out the realm of possibility.
I don't think Sony would buy.
It would also well, no, but it would also be like Sony would put their games on Game Pass and make like, let's say, you know, like they're like, look, we're going to use Game Pass as the platform for their integration into the PC space, where they wouldn't have to have really a launcher, and they would get a bigger cut of all Game Pass subscriptions by having all their IPs on PC Game Pass. Not Xbox, but PC.
The only problem is that the rumor is they are actually Spartacus or whatever. They are technically working on their own version of Game Pass. And why the hell would they allow Microsoft's Game Pass if they're working on their own?
But maybe they're not. We don't really know what Spartacus is yet, so who knows? Maybe that's their maybe they're in on this whole big plan. Because at the end of the day, Sony, Nintendo, everybody, this is an attack against Tencent and against Facebook and Amazon and Apple. Like it is like, hey, we're the console space and we're not trying to get destroyed by big tech. And we already have one member of big tech here, and they're fairly all right, being Microsoft, but at the end of the day, like Sony could, at this point, smart money goes to like Apple buying Sony. Just because they can use their cameras. There's a lot of integration that they could do between those two companies. And then they would have their gaming platform. But, like, Apple's been dragging its feet on gaming forever. It doesn't make sense for them to, but they have. Like, I'm more interested to see where they head. Because they have a ton of money to make a purchase like that. Just to get into the space. Because nobody, like these big companies are eventually coming in. They're not going to just sit to the side while Sony becomes bigger or
what do they grab at this point that can make them a real player, though?
No, I'm talking about buying Sony. Like
Sony
just straight,
or Apple?
Yeah, Apple buys Sony. Like just because they can afford it. Sony's not. Like,
the toughest thing about this is that Sony is still a Japanese company, even though the gaming division is, very all Western now. It's strong in Europe and in the United States. It's still a Japanese company, so I have a hard time seeing the actual company Sony agreeing to being purchased. I guess it depends on how much they feel the squeeze,
And I'm not saying that this would ever happen, and I'm not even saying this is a possibility of ever happening. But the only Japanese company that I know that's big enough to actually be a player and could buy Sony is Toyota. And Toyota's not getting in the gaming market. It's a completely outlandish even thought. But the whole idea of me saying that is they're one of the few companies that even has the money to push around that compares to that even kinda compares to
Maybe
Microsoft, Apple.
and they can't spin off the PlayStation company and then sell just that portion,
No.
because if
Well, no,
Sony
it
did
wouldn't
that,
be.
they essentially be dead because
Well, it wouldn't be good for Apple
PlayStation brings in all
anyway.
the money.
Like
Yeah.
Apple uses. Well, Apple could use all the Sony sensors for their phones. They could there's a lot to Sony that would make sense for Apple.
Would
I
a
mean,
partnership
the
make more
insurance.
sense than a
No, like
merger?
they would just buy them and then buy EA. Like that's the kind of money that Apple has. Like if they wanted to if they want to compete with Microsoft now, and we're talking about just Apple, they would go buy Sony and buy EA and maybe Ubisoft. And then just be like, look, now we own it. And they would have a giant fucking mega corp just like Microsoft.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I just think it's a pipe dream because.
Oh, I'm just saying, if you're talking about this
I
big
don't-
money, because Facebook's the same way, they would be in the same position, and I don't think out of anybody, I don't think Nintendo sells to anybody. Nintendo's just like, no, we're cool with where we're at.
They don't need to. They're so self-sustaining, and Nintendo's always going to do Nintendo. And I said this before in the podcast. They run on a renewable resource, and that's children.
Yeah, but Sony has moved on. Like people love to talk about, oh, it's they care about the single player game. It's like, yeah, they release 1 or 2 of those a year maybe. Sony works off of Call of Duty, off of these giant third parties, and they don't have it. Not in the same way. They don't have the safety net of that like they did a year ago or a couple months ago. Like this is definitely different for them.
I still think Sony's going to be in good shape for a while. They do have enough games in the pipeline, but at some point it's going to start to be overwhelming.
Well, we were talking about this the other night. Just like
Mm-hmm.
they have so many. Like Microsoft, they have fucking 50 teams after this acquisition making games.
And a big variety of games.
Giant variety of games.
When you look at Sony first party, it's not all the same game, but it's a lot of the same types of games. I mean, when people go and buy a $70 game for PlayStation 5, what they're expecting is a big epic game with
about 30
really
hours
cool
long
story. Anywhere from 20 to 40 hours of gameplay, and they deliver on that.
They do.
They deliver great games. No one is ever going to say Sony doesn't make good games. Nope. I'm sorry if you say they don't, you're probably a fanboy. If you say they don't appeal to you personally, I understand that because not everyone's going to be interested in that kind of game. I do think at this point they're starting to become like Assassin's Creed games in the sense that the expectation is being met entirely without much surprise now. But
they will start to get long. They will start to get a bit old with the formula being repeated over and over. Which
yes,
and as much as people want to say it's not happening, it is happening. I mean, third person, sometimes with guns, sometimes not, sometimes melee. Action adventure. There you go. That's literally
now, because Horizon Zero Dawn 2, the God of War pretty recently kind of falls into the same thing too. Ghost of Tsushima and Days Gone all have a very similar
and Death Stranding.
And Death Stranding, yeah. I mean, it's a different kind of gameplay, but as far as the format, we're kind of getting the same types of games. They don't play alike, really, any of them. So I'll give them that, But there is a sort of formula that is happening. It's not quite the Ubisoft formula, which got a little out of hand. Especially when you had I think The Crew was the one that set me off on the Ubisoft formula. I was like, okay, this is just too much like a Ubisoft game, And then obviously Steep did it too, and so did what's the most recent one? Riders Republic. Same kind of game, Even though different genre technically. Same game. It's a really weird thing, but that's how it works. Real quick, Sony could go there.
Will, aka the Winter Soldier, said, "What's up, dudes? Prototype 3 or Give Me Death."
Yeah, the IP that they picked up with this are great. I mean,
Will join us. I gave you permission.
I think
Come to the
I think
recording.
they could reboot Prototype and make it a much bigger game than it was. It didn't have a bad
Sure.
premise at all.
But does the name Prototype hold any weight as far as bringing it back? Does everyone go, "Oh
But
my God, Prototype's back"?
they could make it hold weight though. Technically, Hexen doesn't hold any weight either. But the idea behind Hexen is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And
Well,
to be
yeah.
honest, though, Hexen is almost a little bit like Avowed that they're making. But
Yeah. No, Hexen or Heretic, that whole like fantasy version of Doom,
yeah,
that would be great. And if they can actually put id Software on that, I mean, that's id Software could work on these. They're not working on Quake, right? I think it's supposed to be Machine Games is the rumor about working on Quake. So
if we could
um,
have a Quake, Hexen, Doom like turnover, that's the next turnover. Those three games, one after the
one
other.
every year.
Yeah,
I might be a little overboard. I'd rather them
yeah.
take their time and just make fun games.
Well, you get 3 years for each game to develop it.
Yeah, but then you're playing the same game every year still in a way.
Right.
You gotta
Yeah.
be careful with
True.
that. But
Yeah, it
I
works for
know,
Sony.
but that was
I'm
cool. It was cool when the recent interview with Phil Spencer, and he mentioned about going back to old IP, and the ones he mentioned specifically were King's Quest, Hexen, and Guitar Hero. So
yeah.
we know where he's thinking. And then just looking at the picture for the acquisition picture, StarCraft was on that picture. That's what was surprising to me. That means they are thinking StarCraft at Blizzard. So that's pretty exciting too.
I think
It's been a
photo
while.
though is like we could just have Vern disappear. No, but I wanted them to like. I think what they were looking at was they want to have like to me this is a bigger PC at Game Pass purchase than it was an Xbox Game Pass purchase. Like this was, hey, StarCraft is coming. We're doing mobile with Candy Crush. We're doing World of Warcraft for PC. Like they are pushing PC hard on this one. Diablo, like the whole thing is about PC.
Yeah, but
Like
seeing
it is.
StarCraft on there had to be exciting for StarCraft fans.
Oh no, for
Because I think
sure.
there's a lot of StarCraft fans who are like, "Where the hell's my StarCraft game?"
Yeah.
And I don't mean StarCraft, 3. I'm talking,
Where's the
maybe
rest of
something
the?
else.
Yeah.
Maybe some other StarCraft game. Bring back Ghost. Why not?
That was the
There's
cool thing about
another
it was
there's another thing they bought too that's not even gamer related. They bought the studio that actually made the World of Warcraft movie.
Yeah, and MLG. That could be
So if
really
they
important
wanted
to them.
to, with the IPs they have now, they could go to that studio and say, "What movie do you want to make?"
Yeah.
See all the IPs we have. We want you
Well,
do what DC does right
and
now
and
with their
and
animated movies.
Spyro and Crash, those are
Dude,
movie
a
games.
Spyro movie would be
Those are
fucking
movie games.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Psychonauts is actually a movie game if there ever was one too. Not
Conquer
that I
would
do
be an
too well,
awesome movie.
but yeah. I mean, like, I think they could definitely use those IP, and that's a cool thing. Remember how it was a couple months ago? Phil Spencer was saying he'd really like to acquire a studio that could make kids games, family games. Well, they got Toys for Bob now.
I mean, toys for Phil. Bro.
Exactly.
Toys
They
for
got Toys for Phil. They're gonna make Voodoo Vince 2 for him. Yeah.
that, and I mean, everybody said it. Like Banjo, like the cry out for a Banjo game.
I thought you were gonna say Blinks 3. But,
no, it's Banjo. Like people, I don't get. Like I'm not the biggest Banjo fan, but fucking it comes up all the fucking time. It's all people want. Like it's the perfect game to toss that way. Now, if it was for me, I say they need to knock out a Banjo, a Spyro, a Crash, and then a Conquer. Because there's so many kids games you can make before you go insane, and I think that's the correct amount until you do a Conquer and let them just go buck wild with it.
I'm just sad, and I don't think Conquer's ever gonna come back in this day and age. It's just it's too politically correct. It's just
it'd be fun though. It'd be so much fun.
Yeah.
And he has so many worlds to jump through now.
Politically
I mean,
incorrect is what they should say.
yeah, he has so many worlds to go through between. Oh man, so many
That'd be
IPs he
awesome.
could do.
I know, and he has to have such great offensive commentary that could never
I
be
mean,
shared.
him in Overwatch or World of Warcraft or Fallout, or he would just bounce. Essentially, he would bounce through. I mean, you'd have to have. This is so totally a side tangent. If you were going to do another Conquer game, it would have to start as a Skyrim game. In the cart with Conquer just sitting in the cart being taken down.
Well, they already did the whole like Saving Private Ryan beginning, right? Well, why not just set it in Call of Duty?
No,
to
you
start?
could. No, I just think it'd be funny because that means they
Yeah,
could sell
yeah.
another copy of Skyrim. Skyrim the
Yeah,
Conquer
you're right.
edition.
You're right. And he would have the cool mask on and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
And you
That'd
could
be
totally
great.
turn it when the dragon comes down. Then you have the soldiers bust through with guns and do your
Yeah.
Call of Duty bit. But
And he can have a friendship with the weapon from
Yeah.
Halo Infinite. And that'd be awesome. They would be buddies,
is it spoiler to say who the weapon's name is now?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I
Those
would say
bonnets.
yes, it is. Let's give it at least another month.
Okay. I'm supposed to live in a world where I don't
People
know.
are still trying to get past that last fight in the game.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a difficult fight.
No, I did it
But,
on heroic.
No, I'm super excited about those IP though. I'd love to see them go back to Spyro and Crash and Banjo and whatnot, I think Banjo could use a Banjo trilogy, just like Crash got the Crash trilogy from Activision. Remember that?
Yeah.
The Crash Insane trilogy? Why not just do that with Banjo as well? Do the 3 games, make it a trilogy, and then that team would then have a knowledge of how that series works, and then just make a brand new one. I think that's the way to do it, just like they did with Crash, and that would just be an awesome thing to me. But what are your dream games besides that? If y'all had anyone.
World of Warcraft 2. I don't know. I mean,
Unreal Engine 5 co-developed by Coalition.
yeah.
Okay.
You
What
know
a
it would
waste
run
of a
well.
Coalition, though. I guess it'll turn into super dark fantasy, right?
Yeah. Dom. For the Horde. I don't know. Like,
No,
what-
my
That
dream
was-
is a new Spyro game or some kind of mashup,
I mean, at this
Um,
point, like, how do they not make a kart racer or a battle royale or something with these IPs? It's just so many. It's
Yeah.
so big, and it doesn't have to be Smash Brothers. I'm talking about like
Right.
a
Something.
Fortnite thing, like where it's just
Well,
like screw it, put
I
everybody
was
in it.
listening to Miles Dampier today. That's how you
Mhm.
pronounce it. Dampier. I don't know how he pronounces it. Looks, it's French, so he would say it would be Dampier. But he had the best idea, and it was taking the Tony Hawk games,
Hmm.
but making it all Microsoft characters on the skateboards.
Yeah. Well,
That would like
on the skateboards, you could have them skating.
that's what I mean on the skateboards,
okay.
like skating. Like
Only if,
yeah, it would be like a Tony Hawk skating game essentially, but all with the Microsoft characters and with a whole bunch of flavor based on those different characters. Obviously, it can go a lot. It can go way more than that. You can introduce races, I guess. So it could kind of have a kart racer thing. You could have a stunt section, just like Tony Hawk has. It could be open world. It could have a weird, crazy story that connects the entire like metaverse, I guess. I think that's a great idea, and that's a
Only
game
if,
Toys for Bob can do.
Only if Forza Motorsport gets a car riding on a
Vicarious
skateboard.
Visions. Vicarious Visions, actually, they got absorbed into Blizzard, I believe. Vicarious Visions, but I don't know. I imagine those people still exist. Maybe they're a team within Blizzard, and maybe they're the ones who can make something like that. But there's just so many possibilities. I mean, it's a long way off, obviously, and we'll see how all these studios and publishers work with each other. Maybe they won't have a lot of communication between each other, and those things can happen. I don't know.
So it's a lot of cross communication. But I don't know. At this point, we were joking. Microsoft has like what 3 E3 conferences they've bought. Well, 2 they've bought, and then
it's 32 developers technically right now.
Yeah,
and it's like over 50 teams making games.
Like they're gonna have their own internal E3 week where all the studio heads come together or talk about what they're working on.
Separate conferences, yeah. They could do an Xbox Game Studios conference. They could do a Bethesda conference, and a small one, and then they could do an Activision, or they can just or just call it BlizzCon.
Yeah.
Do BlizzCon, but I think it makes sense to keep BlizzCon at a different time, and then you kind of spread it out. You have your
at this point, you do one show. It's 3 hours long.
I know, right?
Because I don't know. I think they're in a good position because at this point, I think everybody agrees that E3's dead. It kind of died this year. Like it's just they canceled it. Yeah. So there's just no there's not going to be a show like that. So you're going to see Microsoft. I mean, at this point, they need to have 2 shows a year, I guess. They could do spread them out every 6 months and then just kind of show, hey, this is what these 5 studios are working on, or this is what you're expecting on this end of the year.
They can do an XO. They can do an Xbox Game Showcase. They can do BlizzCon. They can still keep their Minecraft convention. They're still going to have QuakeCon, So, yeah, they already have a lot of stuff that exists already. So it's crazy.
Yeah, there's definitely a reason they made it into what seems like it's almost its own company.
Yeah, it's beyond a pillar of Microsoft at this point. It feels like its own thing entirely.
Oh yeah,
it's wild. How much is Microsoft worth as a company?
It's $1 trillion company.
2.6 trillion.
Okay. How much do you think?
Stupid amount.
2.6 trillion.
Microsoft Gaming has to be worth at least what, 150, 200 million, right?
Billion, yeah.
200 billion or so.
Let's say billion. 150, 200 billion at this point, considering they paid 68 just for Activision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And remember the reason, because people forget this, Bethesda was a private company. So private companies aren't worth as much, even though the IPs can be just everybody wants to say Blizzard, Activision is the bigger beast, and it's because it was a public company.
It was public, so they had to spend more money.
So they had to spend a lot more money on it.
Right.
I think if you valued Bethesda's IPs now that they're owned by a public company, they exponentially turn into what Blizzard Activision was.
They're not 68 billion, but they're fucking close. Yeah.
So once you market all that stuff up, they I would say about 150 billion for Well, if you wanted to buy the Microsoft Gaming, once this goes through, of course.
Man, you guys never talk about games anymore. You just talk about values of the companies. Yeah.
We talked a lot about games.
Yeah,
I know.
And also, this is a new show.
That's what's most exciting.
It's a joke about the Sony guys. It's you guys don't talk about games anymore. You just talk about how many sales your consoles get, which is true.
I can't wait to see that Game Pass dump that's going to happen once this goes through, though. There's going to be so many games on the same day. It's going to be insane.
Will says they should really expand Overwatch the way Riot has with League of Legends, game spin-offs, and original animations. Yeah, I agree. Overwatch should be, it's their cartoony kind of shooter that they can do whatever they want with.
It needs to go free to play for multiplayer.
Yeah, they made it free to play.
Free to play,
and
then sell the PvE campaign stuff.
Yeah.
And make it part of Game Pass, obviously. But the actual multiplayer, that needs to go free to play for Overwatch 2, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't see Overwatch being exclusive.
Well, no,
I could see that.
They'll just keep it what it is, you know.
Yeah.
They'll essentially upgrade Overwatch, make it free to play, and that's Overwatch 2. I don't. Well, maybe. Do you think the campaign stuff would not be exclusive though?
Yeah, if they have campaign stuff, yeah. But the multiplayer stuff.
Will wants to know if y'all think Diablo 4 becomes exclusive. I do.
Yes. Yeah, I think.
Talked about this earlier. Yeah. What I said earlier was that I think it will not be entirely exclusive. I think it will not get a PS5 version. They'll have a PS4 version that runs on the PS5 like Psychonauts because it has already been announced for both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, but not PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. And since they have to honor their contracts, that's my guess.
Yeah. It'd be one way of getting it around.
It really depends on if they actually have a contract that says it has to be released on PlayStation.
Yeah, they may not. And if they don't,
they may not.
The game gets delayed till somewhere in 2023 and it's far enough away after the acquisition completes, well then maybe they just say, hey, sorry.
They could just be like, hey, we're dropping the Xbox One PS4 versions altogether.
Because it took so long to come out. Yeah,
and,
that would make sense.
We're just going to release on Series X. Have fun.
It'd be a big old exclusive, man. Even with people not loving Blizzard in a lot of ways lately, Diablo has been in a good place, in my opinion. Diablo 2 did have some issues at launch.
But... Yeah, the remaster. But people still, like, that's not a Diablo. It's not mainline Diablo, you know? Like, people are waiting for that Diablo 4.
And it looks good, and people were excited about it. And what's crazy is that Rod Ferguson's working on it, and now he's back at Microsoft.
Yep. So many people tried to leave, but got brought right back in.
There were secret agents.
Your bar was an insider.
Mike and Rod.
We need to get your bar on the podcast and ask him.
Are you a secret agent?
How well did the inside job go?
We should just always refer to him as Agent Mike.
Yeah.
Just like they used to. Remember Phil Harrison? They used to call him Agent Phil because he was with Sony and then went over to Microsoft and destroyed them.
Yeah, Phil
Harrison. And then he went over to Stadia and then destroyed them too. Agent Phil taking out all the competition for Sony.
At this point, Microsoft's bringing back Mixer. That's all I'm saying.
Oh gosh, that's not happening. Well, I wonder. Like, I really hope we see a really good partnership with Twitch soon. Now to get Twitch like integrated as well as it should be. You know.
Yeah.
Into OS.
I'm curious what they do with Major League Gaming.
Oh, I mean,
because that, like that would be very interesting with the amount of the IPs they own and the amount they own. If they could find a really good way to have a server and way of showing games off, like if you could be like, hey, I'm in this game, and you could link your account and it shows you like the battlefield and everything else, and you could really have like a sports overview of a game going on, that would be really interesting and something they could make MajorLeagueGaming.com into not a specific streaming platform, but hey, like this, if you want to go watch the ESPN of games, MajorLeagueGaming.com, and you can see the battlefield and everything else, and they have the server infrastructure to do it. It's just getting the games up there to make them worthwhile.
I also think it would be a good way to do another conference. Evo has their big, tournaments, and then they also make a bunch of big fighting game announcements at Evo. That would be a really great place to do something similar, but do it with Call of Duty, do it with Killer Instinct, since we think there's another one of those coming around. You know,
Mhm.
um, anything that you could toss into MLG, why not use that for that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Make a big, celebration of competitive gameplay with announcements and, of whether that's a game announcement or DLC announcement or something for all the games that are going to be popular at that particular event. And I think maybe we see him go that way. It's a big pickup, MLG. I think that's an underrated pickup.
I do wonder how many studios we might see created because of this acquisition. Like 10,000 people. Like, I wonder how many. I don't see any studios being dissolved to create new studios, but I wonder how many of these teams that were like, you look at these teams that were created basically just to support Call of Duty.
Will transition to support Call of Duty,
Yeah,
Like Toys for
and
Bob, they're working on Call of Duty now.
it's
Raven,
fucking
they're
nuts.
working on Call of Duty now. Beanox, they're working on Call of Duty. High Moon Studios is working on Call of Duty. These are teams that could go and work on other stuff and put out
Oh
great
yeah,
products. And they're not even the mainline Call of Duty studios. That's not Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward, and Treyarch. So maybe we see those three, big three Call of Studios stay on Call of Duty, and the other ones maybe splinter off and start working on their own stuff, which would be really exciting.
I do wonder that. I am wondering if there's going to be a contention against buying more studios and more towards creating studios after this, though.
I don't think they
Do
really
they even need to?
acquire anyone else. Yeah, it's like, I guess if an opportunity presents itself, it makes sense. Yeah, go ahead and grab it,
Right.
But I don't
The
think
only,
I can't imagine they're going to go out seeking more studios unless they want a Japanese team or two.
that's what I was thinking. The only thing, like, if they could pick up Itagaki and make a team for him,
Yeah.
like,
They they literally have like everything covered except for Japanese studios at this point. Maybe a good fighting team studio, they don't really have, but
they have one Japanese studio, right?
yes, Tango Gameworks.
Yeah. I do wonder if Sega would be worth buying for him, but
At this point,
if,
I don't know.
yeah,
I mean, I love it. I mean, I like Sega, as
I
you well
believe
know.
Vern has a background for that. I
I do
believe.
have a
yeah.
background. I think I need to go ahead and pull that out. Let's see. How do I do this? There we go. Change video background. Booyah. Y'all see it?
Did you
Yeah.
say Ouya?
I said booyah.
Oh,
But no, yeah, I mean, I'd like Sega, but at this point, now that they have Activision, it makes me go, well, I don't see a Ubisoft happening now. I don't see a Sega happening now. I don't see a Take Two happening now. If anything, Take Two's the kind of publisher that maybe Sony would go for now as a way to kind of counteract things. You
could
know,
Sony afford Take Two?
not currently. They would have to take out a loan, but I think they could do it. I
I
think they
feel
could
like
do
they
it.
would have to do a merger with one of these companies rather
No,
than an
no.
acquisition.
Take Two is what, like 20 billion or something like that? I want to say.
But like something like Rockstar or 2K or Square Enix. Although Square Enix isn't worth nearly as much as Sony.
I just Take Two seems to be the one that
I'll
would
be
make the
right back.
most sense. Because there's already that I guess association with Sony and Rockstar. You also pick up something like BioShock, which would be a good pickup. And then, I mean, they got what, the 2K games, right? And obviously, you still those are licenses, and they may have to still come out on competing platforms. But if you're trying to do a new subscription service, which there's talk of that with Spartacus, I mean, what's a bigger subscription puller than NBA 2K, and GTA?
Yeah.
Like that. There you
Yeah,
go. That's it.
that's going to be the big thing about them doing a subscription service. Exactly what are they going to put on it other than
Yeah,
their
you need
old
something that is
catalog?
has That allows for retention, because if all you're putting on there is 2 or 3 big single player games a year, well then you're going to subscribe 3 months out of a year. You're not going to be subscribed for 12 months out of the year, you know? Something
Right.
like Sea of Thieves currently on Game Pass is actually a big retention game because people just keep coming back every single month and they don't want to lose that game, you know? They're just like, okay, well, I'll just stay sub so I can play it and everything else.
Right.
This It's going to be the same thing for a lot of these other games as the service games that are out. GTA would be the same kind of thing, like a GTA 6 that had an online component. That would keep players coming back month to month to month to month to month,
Right.
NBA 2K, like every year it would come out and it would keep people coming back month to month, So I don't know. Take Two just seems like the logical one to me if Sony's going to go somewhere. Square Enix doesn't make sense because they already have those games.
Yeah,
They
that's
don't.
the thing. They have such a relationship. They don't even really need to buy them.
No, they don't.
Like,
But
like
maybe
they
they
pulled.
do. Maybe they do. I was listening to Jeff
Yeah.
Grubb today, and he pointed out that the amount of interest that they would have to pay based on the loan that they have to take out to buy someone like a Square Enix, that would get paid off just with the revenue from Final Fantasy 14, probably.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, well, why not then? Why not?
And Square Enix would never allow Xbox to buy them, even if.
Right, but they would allow Sony, obviously.
Yeah.
And not just that, it would do some weird stuff with the Crystal Dynamics working on Perfect Dark, wouldn't it?
Especially after their current statements of how they're bullshitting exclusivity right now, where they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we just feel that the PlayStation platform is the proper place for Square Enix games." Like, okay, I would just say that it's fucking they paid for it. I mean, it's fine. It's not a new concept. It's all right.
Mhm.
But don't come out and be like, "Well, we just feel like this is the more proper place for our game." Like,
Right.
get the fuck out of here. If I'm Microsoft sitting there, I'm gonna be like, "What the fuck is your?" It sounds so poor. Like it, I don't know. But
Anything else y'all want to talk about Activision Blizzard? I think we kind of.
They have
covered.
a
I
shit
know.
ton of launchers on PC now. They own more
That's a good
launchers
question.
than any. I don't think any company has more launchers than they do.
How many
What do they
game engines
do?
they own now?
You have 4 major launchers now with Game Pass, Bethesda, Activision and Blizzard are together on one launcher, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can launch Call of Duty and World of Warcraft from the same launcher, right?
No. I don't think
Sure.
so. I don't think Call of Duty's on Battle.net. Let me check.
I can right now myself. Yes, you can. Call of Duty Warzone is on Battle.net launcher.
Never mind.
Go to the more game section. So, yeah, it's like 3 launchers that can run all this stuff. So how do you bring all those together? Do you bring them all together or just keep them separate? As long as you're signed into your Game Pass account on any one of those launchers, you're set. Maybe that's the route they go.
Yeah, it's
Will says Sega's tricky, another publisher, but maybe they get less resistance since they don't have much presence in that market.
Well, there's a list of Japanese companies that are untouchable or something like that, according to the Japanese government, meaning, another company cannot come into Japan and buy them. And Sammy is not on that list. So I don't, which is, they own Sega. So I don't think it would be as much of an issue.
And I don't think they'd buy the whole thing. Like, they don't buy Sammy. They just buy the Sega part of it. Because Sammy's not really doing much with it. So it's just like,
Well, aren't they spinning it off now or something? There was talk of that.
That's what I'm saying. Like they'd be the
4 or
perfect
5 months
place
ago.
to acquire them and just be like, hey, yeah, it's just ours.
Well, I remember when that news article came out about spinning them off or setting them up to be spun off. Everyone was like, "Oh, this is Sega's happening."
But it gets
But
Microsoft another Japanese publisher.
I
But
mean, if they somehow picked up Sega, I would hope they stop then because they just have too much to worry about now. Like this is going to be a real test for Microsoft and how they run Activision Blizzard. It's gonna be tough. I hope they got some smart people figuring it out.
It's gonna definitely be. I like the way they split it up now to where they didn't just go, well, all of this is Xbox Game Studios now.
Oh god,
Like,
no.
like Bethesda and
Matt
Blizzard
Matt
and Activision don't
Matt
exist. All
Booty
the
would have
studios are now just.
resigned
Oh yeah, he'd be like, fuck
at
this
the
shit,
same
I'm out.
time.
But with the way they've done it to where Bethesda and Blizzard are their subsidiaries to Xbox Game Studios, so is Xbox Game Studios itself, I guess, to Microsoft Gaming. So Microsoft Gaming, then Xbox Game Studios, Bethesda, Activision, and Blizzard, or Bethesda, no, damn it, Blizzard, Activision, Bethesda, there's too many damn names, and King are kind of their own subsidiaries. I kind of
Yeah,
see King just
King
taking
is
over all the mobile stuff.
well, King is their like entry into the Chinese market, right?
Yeah,
And so is Call of Duty. I think Call of Duty Mobile is big in China, right?
yeah.
So that's an area that Microsoft's been wanting to get in forever and never could break through. And now they just bought it. So they have it. It's wild.
So what
Yeah.
happens when you throw money around, man? I mean, events we've been talking about it forever, like them
They weren't
throwing their
they
money
weren't just
around.
throwing it around.
Oh,
I
I
don't
understand that.
think I don't think they intended on buying Activision even 3 months ago. I don't think they were thinking, gee, let's go
No,
out to Activision. What we know of is that Activision came to Microsoft
right.
and then they were like, oh gosh, well maybe this makes sense now because the I think there's an insider at Reset Era, a guy named Matt. I know we don't really love him too much, but he had mentioned that before all this stuff went down, he was thinking that um, a public purchase of Activision was probably close to 110 billion at that time before all the sexual allegations started. Um, they got him at 68. That's an insane deal when you compare it to where it was before. So it doesn't suddenly seem like a giant amount of money in comparison, I guess. I mean, it's still a giant amount of money, but what they're getting in the deal is nuts if they can get it back to where it was.
Oh yeah, that's what people the fact they're paying a small premium, and it's not even really much of a premium over what was the
Compared to what it
the
could have been.
regular stock
Yeah.
price, because their stock price was actually higher than $95 for stock for
Yeah.
it was up like over 100, I believe. And to buy them at 95, it's fucking nuts. I mean, people don't realize, like, here's something to understand why it's $70 billion. They just bought the most popular game on PlayStation. They bought the most popular game on Xbox and the most popular game on PC.
Yes.
Just bought it. Like, Call of Duty is the most popular game.
Not,
It's
and all that,
fucking
you
nuts.
look at NPD sales figures. You know what the top two games are?
This
Call of
year's
Duty Vanguard
Call of
and
Duty
Call of
and last,
Duty Cold War. Yeah.
like,
This year's Call of Duty and last year's Call of Duty. Number 1, 2. Yeah.
it's like if Microsoft went and looked at the sales charts for games and were like, okay, what's actually the
I'll
number
take
one
that one, and I'll
sales
take
chart?
that one.
Like, it's fucking crazy. I mean, the only other thing you could buy to even be on that sales chart is Grand Theft Auto.
Minecraft's always on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they already bought that.
That's why Sony's going to need to come in and grab a Take-Two, because then they'd have at least one of those games on there every month. With
Yeah.
GTA. Like that's my point. But we'll see. We'll
And
see
I'll
what
tell you
happens.
one thing: if Sony does buy them, we won't be sitting there having a discussion of whether or not it'll be exclusive.
No, not at all. And you know what? If they
It
do
won't
it,
even be a question.
and if they do it, I would be like, good for you, Sony. That's a great
Right.
move. I'm not gonna cry about that. Gosh, I'd never
No,
cry. I think that's what's so stupid about it. And I understand consolidation is scary, but this doesn't stifle creativity at least for the employees at Activision and Blizzard. If
Yeah.
anything, it's the opposite. So,
no, everyone
yeah.
on this podcast is for competition. It's not, none of us are here like, man, we wish there was only one company that owned the entire market. But we do have to remember that the people arguing against the this new this buyout are the same people that wanted Microsoft to stop being in the gaming industry.
It's true. It's true. I mean, then
Like, if you really want to sit here and talk about anti-competitiveness, and at the same time you're like Microsoft needs to go, like, who's going to compete? Nintendo does not compete with Sony and Microsoft.
the same playbook that's been going all the way back to Nintendo. Nintendo in the late
Yeah,
80s, early 90s was throwing money around to keep games off of everything else. Sony came into the game, did the exact same thing to pull off games from Nintendo's consoles to come to Sony, pull games off of Sega's consoles to come to Sony, you know?
right.
And now it's happening to them. I mean, it's nothing new. It really isn't anything new.
No.
And
I mean,
there's
is it?
another part of this that people don't realize is Microsoft spending $68.7 billion. There are a lot of people at Bethesda that own stock. They're going to quit with a huge fucking payday and make new businesses. That's how this works. Like, people will go, you know what? I don't like my boss, and I just got a couple $1,000,000. Let's all go together and make a new game company where we can decide what to do. And it's going to happen. You're going to see a bunch of new businesses pop out of this just because people are going to get a ton of fucking money and have the freedom to go and do something new, do something else. Like, it's not going to kill the industry. It's not like they're going, hey, you got to stay with Microsoft forever. Like this.
There's, I don't think there's ever been a better time to be a small developer.
Y'all,
Like, some of the most, what's up?
I just saw a list of all the IPs they're going to own now. Geometry Wars is on there.
Yeah, I know.
It's time for a new Geometry Wars, man.
Yeah. That's not
Look
a
at
high
this.
budget game. It's just that's a great Game Pass game.
Here's the list. I'm going to read them all real fast. Blur, Caesar, Call of Duty, Candy Crush, Crash Bandicoot, Diablo, DJ Hero, Empire Earth, Gabriel Knight, Geometry Wars, Guitar Hero, Gun, Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, Hexen, Interstate 76, that's a crazy one, King's Quest, Lara Bow Mysteries, never heard of it, Lost Vikings, Overwatch, Phantasmagoria, Pitfall, Police Quest, Prototype, Quest for Glory, Singularity, Skylanders, which is something that could definitely come back, Soldier of Fortune, Space Quest, Spyro the Dragon, StarCraft, the Tenchu Legacy games, so I guess the first few games or something, Time Shift, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, True Crime, World of Warcraft, and Zork.
Yeah.
That
They
list
could
is
make a new
nuts.
they could make a new True Crimes to compete with Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, that's gonna
Do
make
it,
a
Microsoft.
difference.
Do it. Bring Snoop Dogg back. Snoop Dogg was in True Crimes, wasn't he? If I remember correctly.
Was he in one of them? I don't
I
remember.
believe so. True Crimes
True
LA.
Crime was the
Something
one
like
that kind of wasn't Sleeping Dogs like originally a True Crime sequel.
I'm not sure. True Crimes was that gigantic. Like, I know it was like True Crimes LA where they had the gigantic game. Like, the game world was absolutely massive. The game
True
was
Crime-
mediocre as fuck, but that's actually a pretty good IP. It could be redone pretty well.
Yeah, there was True Crime Streets of LA and True Crime
Yes.
New York City. I don't know if Snoop was in one though. He may have been. Let's see. Yes, he was. He was in True Crime Streets of LA.
Yep.
Bring back Snoop. Let's do a new Snoop game.
Yep. Dude, Snoop Dogg would be all over that shit.
Yeah, and then there was True Crime Hong Kong that got canceled and then ended up becoming Sleeping Dogs.
That's interesting because that would make Sleeping Dogs the best true crimes game.
Yeah,
Because Sleeping
yeah.
Dog is actually a pretty good game, and the rest of them
Yeah,
are mediocre.
and that game just fell by the wayside after that. They tried to do that
Yeah,
online multiplayer thing with
yeah.
the gangs and stuff, and then it just was over.
They should have just kept doing single player games.
They never got that okay from Square Enix. Square Enix didn't want to put the money into it.
Square Enix is like, you didn't make $5 billion. This is a failure. Get out of here.
But yeah, man, yeah, just bring True Crime back, bring Snoop Dogg back. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, they definitely, like Phil Spencer saying, like, you can just basically go to these studios. What do you want to make? Like, here's everything we own. What do you want to do?
It's true. It's absolutely true. And there's just so many opportunities. But it's stifling creativity, y'all.
Yeah.
But whatever. I mean, I'm excited about it. I'm sure y'all can tell that. I know y'all are excited about it. Now
And-
it's just, when's this going to close and where's it going to go?
Yeah, I just got to say, you can always buy PC.
True.
Yeah, even if...
the killer console now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can always buy a PC.
I do think it's funny when people are like, man, I got over on Microsoft. What? How? Built a PC. Okay.
You're buying their games.
That's all they fucking care about. They don't care if it's not on a
They're a
console.
software company. They sell hardware, but they're a software company.
Yeah, but I built a PC instead. Fuck, I'm gonna buy a PlayStation and I have a PC. Okay. Are you subscribed to Game Pass? Yeah. All right.
They're
Yeah.
happy.
I don't think they care.
You know how much they paid for shipping your PC to you? Nothing. They don't care. They just want the subscription.
It does make you wonder if someday we're going to get to a point, though, where all these publishers just have their own sub-services on PC, and you buy like one console that can play all those sub-services. You know, that's like where we're going to go someday, you know?
We're seeing an
Eventually,
answer to
but
that,
that's
though,
where consolidation brings it down.
Well, I guess it'll be in a streaming app on your TV. You know, that'll
Yeah.
be the end game.
We're seeing an answer to that though, because we've seen the movies and TVs industry try to do that and fail horribly.
Yeah, because even HBO
Because-
Max isn't doing great. Like everything's kind of just
Netflix is
sitting
having
there.
trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can't have a million different services. People are just not going to fucking subscribe.
Which
to
is
all
why
of them.
Microsoft wants to just buy it all and essentially
Yeah.
have a sort of monopoly, but only on the streaming content, on the streaming end, the subscription end. You know,
Yeah.
maybe there's a lawsuit there at some point. You know, but I don't know.
Yeah, as far as like antitrust and anti-compet, it's like, well, they're the only ones that have a streaming service. They'll put it on Game Pass. It'll be exclusive.
Stadia,
Okay. I
you
mean,
got GeForce Now, and
Well, it's like Skyrim, right? Like Skyrim. Well, the next Elder Scrolls game is definitely gonna sell a shit ton of Game Pass subscriptions. Like
Yes.
it just is. It's gonna come out.
probably 10 million.
And it's going to just be like, hey, you know all those people that wouldn't drop $70 on a game or $60 on a game? Hey, you only got to drop 10 or 15. And
is it really a company's fault if no other company decides to compete with you in a market?
I mean, they still break
That's
them
my
up.
question.
Look what they did
I
to
understand that, but I'm saying like,
AT&T, right? Was the one that got broken up, right?
yeah. What I mean is, if no other company decides to attack your market that you're creating, that you've created yourself, and you happen to be doing very well in that market, is that really like, should you be really
it's about going
destroyed
through
for
the door
that?
first, and Microsoft with Game Pass is the first one through the door, essentially. I mean, they are doing something no other company has really done, which is day one releases.
Going all in.
Yeah, and just like committing to it. Because with consoles, no, they were, they came in after the fact. Like Kinect, even though it sold well after the fact of motion controls, like it ended up hurting them for different reasons though. But
Well,
like
that's a great way of putting it.
most of their stuff,
Should it,
they're not the first one through the door, but like this, they're like, look, we see the business model, we see the plan. Let's bulldoze through this door and get a console out, or get not a console, but the whole service out, because they see everything as a service. Like Office is a service now. Every Windows is a service. It's not, you don't buy Windows anymore. Essentially, like it's done. Like the
You just buy it once.
yeah.
what I'm seeing is that Microsoft, for the first time in a very long time, is actually using long-term strategies, and very few other people in the market actually are.
It's like the whole metaverse thing they're going for, you know? Like
Yeah.
like Facebook is doing, and like Google and Amazon.
Well-
They're all like they're taking control of one thing, each one of these big tech
Yeah.
groups.
Yeah.
You know?
And this
I mean,
pushes
Amazon's
them.
got shopping.
Yeah. Yeah.
Facebook has social media. You know? What does Apple have? I wouldn't even know to say. What would be
iPhone.
there? Yeah, they have mobile phones. No, really, they have the
They
mobile phone market.
make
they
a
have.
ton of money off the mobile gaming market.
They have
Like
mobile,
absolutely insane amount of money off of it. It's just they don't
Google has
put much
search.
effort into it.
Google has search. It's a monopoly on search, essentially. Even though
Yeah,
it's
you know
not
what Google's a
you know?
monopoly on? Ad revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
And what does
search. Fuck
Microsoft
search.
have?
Their ad
Microsoft-
revenue. Fucking
Well,
nuts.
Microsoft wants something, and they think it's gaming, and
Yeah.
that's going to be their thing. You know.
Yeah.
So I think that's.
Will
the
says
idea.
Game Pass is the first major service they can destroy with. Yeah, that's what it is. They're gonna walk around and they're gonna be like, "Hey,
They
you
want
want-
to.
you
They
want-
want Game Pass to be what Amazon is to shopping. You
Yeah.
know, that's what they want.
Yeah.
because right now, like I was listening to Kind of Fun. I've been listening, to, a ton of different shows, podcasts, everything, and even hardcore PlayStation fans I listen to. Like, if you had to recommend somebody, as long as this deal goes through, even without this deal, but with this deal going through, if you recommend a console to somebody that's new to console gaming, like Sony's good, but like I can't recommend anything but an Xbox at this point because the Series
like you would-
S and like
I don't want to say it's
Skyrim
a
and
stepping
Doom
stone,
and
but it's like you would almost graduate to getting a PS5 in the sense that I've just played so much Xbox and so many of these games I need something else. So I may as well play something that's a little even more hardcore as far as the single player market is concerned.
I think it was Tim Schafer or no Tim Schafer. No, not Tim Schafer. Somebody's probably one of the developers. But he was just like, yeah, like fucking, you can't recommend a PlayStation. But at the same time, PlayStation's in the awkward corner where PlayStation makes a lot of its fucking money is in microtransactions on fucking Call of Duty
COD and
Fortnite and all these other things. They have to sell consoles to get those microtransactions. But now if you have a giant market of people going, well, the Xbox has 32 fucking studios and Game Pass is pumping shit out all the time and you get all these perks, and it's going to be hard to recommend a PlayStation. It just is. And that's going to hurt Sony.
PlayStation.
Yeah, that hurts Sony. Like, Sony needs fucking... They need Spartacus to launch and to have day one exclusives. But they also need to make games that don't cost $250 million and take 6 years to develop. They need to be able to pump some bullshit out, and it looks like they're going to start doing that too, because they see the end of this tunnel is not going to be The Last of Us. It's going to be, hey, guess what? You could buy fucking cat ears on Halo. Like, you could do it. Like, we're going to sell it to you. You're going to fucking smile about it. And
it's the best $10 I've ever spent.
Yeah, I mean, you're just going to be happy about buying cat ears. But you know what? That's a fucking check in the win column for them, because there's no cost to them other than a kilobyte of data saying cat ears on. Like, they don't care. Like, I don't know. The market's going to be really weird. I think Nintendo will be fine. Sony definitely is in the most awkward position out of anybody. But I have faith they'll be fine.
Well, it's like I was saying about the long-term versus short-term games. Sony is not playing a long-term game. They're playing the traditional console publisher game, which is you make a big exclusive, you sell it, you sell consoles. That's their strategy. They're doing the traditional strategy.
I'd say
The
Sony's
problem is
reacting.
that, well, that's all they're doing now is reacting.
Yeah.
Because they have to react. They don't have a choice. Because if they don't react, if they don't come out with a Game Pass competitor, if they don't come out with a service to compete, or to at least go, hey, stay on this platform, within the next 10 years, they're fucked. I mean, they're not going to go under or anything, but as far as like owning the market share of the market,
they're likely to still win this generation, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. But in like 10, 20 years, if the trends continue and they don't react fast enough, they could definitely lose the entire market, like market majority.
Well, I think by the end, I don't know. I think if this closes the end of this year, the very beginning of the next, and you just start seeing all those IPs, I think you'll see 2-to-1 sales the other way. Like, it's going to be very hard for anybody to say, yeah, I'm going to skip Skyrim, or not Skyrim, but Elder Scrolls, and I'm going to skip all these Bethesda and Activision games, and yeah, maybe COD's still on PlayStation, but shit, I have to pay $70 for Call of Duty on PlayStation. Why not just buy a fucking Series S? Because I'm a casual at this point, and I'm going to buy fucking Game Pass for, let's say they raise the price to $20 a month. That's still, you're way better off. You just are. Like, I don't see a reason to buy a PlayStation but exclusives, and that's not where Sony makes its money.
No, it's what brings people into the console.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I think what were you gonna say, Jay?
No, it's just like I was saying. It's nice to see a company actually thinking beyond 5 months ahead.
Nice to see Microsoft doing it with Xbox.
Yeah, because you see it so much now where these companies, it's like they can't see more than 2 months down the road, and that's the way Activision Blizzard's been running. It's just been, okay, what's going to make us money in the next 6 months? They have to please Bobby. They have to get Bobby another yacht. But yeah, I mean, the investors also. But it's all been about what's the fastest, how can we make the most money in the next 6 months rather than where are we going to be in 20 years? And I think I don't want to keep repeating the same thing over and over, but Microsoft, it's nice to see Microsoft actually thinking 20, 30 years ahead. And I'll leave it there.
Yeah. Is there anything else we wanted to cover?
I mean, that's the big news of the week.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk about what we've been playing and stuff like that, but
I wasn't going to get too much into it. Here it is, Halo. There you go.
Yeah, pretty much. Halo for me too.
And a big part of
Project Zomboid.
Yeah, let's get game already. It was built off the back of Project Zomboid at this point.
I now have 400 hours in this game.
I mean, should we plug the Discord at this point? Should we talk about the tabletop stuff? I mean,
yeah. So, what we want to move forward. Of course, we're going to do the podcast. We don't have a date. We just this was like a spur of the moment, like, hey, let's do a podcast kind of thing. But we want to do a tabletop show. It's probably going to be on Wednesdays around 6 Eastern. I guess 7 Eastern, 6, 7 Eastern on Wednesdays. But we don't have a date yet. I was talking to it on like that previous broadcast. We do have a couple guys that are going to be playing with us, but we wanted to do some one shot, see how everybody's feeling first before we started streaming or campaigning like that. Like, we wanted to just see how people play out. And so far, everybody seems really cool when we were building our characters and stuff. So I don't think we're gonna run into issues, but you never know. So we'll wait to put a hard commitment on. But it's gonna be, we're just calling it the table, and that way we can play either D&D or Pathfinder, or honestly whatever the fuck we want, because it's more about tabletop gaming, virtual tabletop, but tabletop.
Maybe we get a Star Trek thing going eventually,
Yeah.
right? That'd be cool.
Stargate, yeah.
Oh,
Star Trek,
Stargate. Yeah,
Stargate. We have all of them.
Stargate's
Yeah.
5e, right?
Yeah.
He said.
Yeah,
So
it's
that wouldn't
5e
be
with
too hard to
some
do.
changes, but yeah, it's in that universe.
Uh-huh.
But with this, I don't want to do the exact same formula we were doing with the podcast before. Like I kind of like the what we've been playing thing is fun and all, and I guess we'll end up doing it when it's slow news weeks. But this is, I don't know. Like I still want to talk about other games other than just Xbox or even consoles or anything. Like this is like, about anything.
Whatever the
anything
biggest
gaming
news of the week
related.
is.
Yeah. And hopefully if we can get more people into the show, maybe Jason will show up again next week. Who knows? But yeah, nothing's set in stone right now for what like days we're recording or anything like that. So it's kind of more impromptu right now. I have a feeling we'll end up doing the podcast on weekends at this point. It's just I feel like more people are free at that point, but it'll be around like 7, 8 Eastern when we start. But yeah, that's all I got. I don't know if y'all wanted to add anything.
Not much.
Yeah.
I'm excited to just get chatting with people again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice it's nice to feel good about gaming news again.
Yeah, I mean, with the old show, there definitely was burnout. Like, and just, I wouldn't call it stress, but it was just, there was so much to it, and it was nice to have a real nice long break.
And for a Discord server invite, how do you go about doing that? Someone's listening on this one. In general, for people listening.
So if you go to letsgamealready.com and you'll see a Discord link at the very top of the website, and you can just hit that and you'll get a link to join our Discord. And
and right now as part of our Discord, we are currently running 2 Project Zomboid servers and a Varion server. So if you guys, and tabletop also.
Yeah.
So if you guys would like to join us for any community games or just come and have some fun with us, you're more than welcome to join us.
And we have some open tabletop chats, so if you're just trying to play some tabletop with some friends and want to be able to have decent audio and have a chat room to chat in, it's there for anybody to hop in and kind of start playing some tabletop games.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, I think that's going to do it for today. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Thanks, Will, for chatting with us. Maybe we'll convince you
We never introduced ourselves, did we?
I did. I introduced everybody.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't remember.
But
it doesn't matter. This is the last time they'll see us.
Yeah.
We'll do something.
Hey, this is better than our first Xbox Uncut, right?
Yeah, that was just nothing but echoing from Jason's speakers and his mic twice.
Log in, so I wasn't even on it.
And like this, honestly, I made this simpler. Like at this point, I'm just using Discord. I'm not cutting up videos and doing all that crazy stuff. Like this is so much easier where I can just be like, oh, hey Vern, join the chat, and we can just chat in Discord. And the videos are just being captured of Discord. Like,
yeah,
we used to do a bunch of layouts, and honestly, it's a lot, and this is more fun, and it looks fine. But all right, well, that's gonna do it. I appreciate everybody for chatting. Peace out, everybody.
I should say bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out and watching the live stream. We appreciate it.
See our one viewer.
Yep, our one viewer.
That's all we need. It means we're number 1.
Yep.
Are you just changing the channel of Xbox Uncut to Let's Game Already?
Yeah, that's what I did. So if you go to youtube.com/Let's Game Already, it'll pop right up.